when Kelly and I talk about those natural talents, we are always saying what comes naturally, and you can apply it in certain situations, in all situations, and you can still get, you have two people that are looking to be a director of operations. One, let's say, is going to be really task focused, and they're going to be an achiever maybe, and they really make things happen. And the other one might do it through relationships and working with people and getting there. There's not a right and there's not a wrong. Now, is it going to look and feel different? Yes, but they'll get there and they'll be successful. And I think that's what to me is really exciting about the world, right? There's not one way to do it. There's multiple ways to do it. Welcome to the Hope and Hairspray podcast. I'm Rhodi Cate.
And I'm Kelly Osborn. Today, we will lead you on a journey of self-development and professional growth. You will be inspired to be the best version of who you were meant to be.
Let's jump in.
Hello, hello. We are back. Episode number six.
Yep. Number 6.
Hope and Hairspray here. We are chatting today, about our favorite core, foundational element of Hope and Hairspray, and it's called Better Together.
It is. Better together. Because we're better together. That's kind of how this whole thing started.
100%.
Honestly, this is I think the reason we're here.
For sure. It for sure is. So we're going to go way back to when we started realizing that. So we met across the room from each other.
Stars in my eyes.
And
actually, literally, stars in my eyes when you introduced yourself and you said, I live in Hope. And I was like, I need to know her. You did?
So you do introductions at any type of event, right? And you go around the room. And my introduction is, hi, I'm Kelly Osborn, and I live in Hope, Michigan. And that is what you were like, hey, I need to know who that lady is.
I do.
Right? And that's what started our friendship. When you connect with somebody pretty quickly, right? There's some chemistry there. I'd like to get to know this person. You swap stories, backgrounds. But I think it was a little bit later, we probably started pulling back some layers on some things. Absolutely. And realizing that we had a lot of differences too. Because I think core things bring you together.
Right.
Similar interests, hobbies, values. I think travel was in there. You talk to people, are you coming? Do you have any trips coming up? But yes, that's easy to start connecting with somebody on similarities. But we started noticing some differences. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think the most obvious one was you're an entrepreneur. You've been doing that for years. You own a number of small businesses. We talk about that, I think, a lot, that the number of businesses you run. I don't understand that at all.
It's okay.
I don't have that capability. And then I was more from the corporate world. And so that was kind of our first, because we were talking about Clifton Strengths and we were talking about what we do, which is we coach, we help people along their leadership journey or their business growth journey. And so we felt like we had similarities, yet we were coming from different places, which was pretty neat, because I certainly learned a lot from you on small businesses and how to juggle. I still can't do it, but I can watch you and I can appreciate it.
So, and I think you hit a very important point. Typically, unfortunately, women come into a situation and instead of appreciating, they compare. And comparison is the thief of joy. So it would have been very easy for you to be like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about her lifestyle. And I could have been the same corporate. I have never been in a corporate setting. I don't know what that's like, but we didn't.
No, we didn't. And even I think more so, like, you have children, I don't have kids. And Hope is a lovely place. I do. I really love Hope, Michigan. But it's small, and I've been in bigger towns. And so there were, I think, a lot of things that could be, whatever, that we don't have anything in common. She's too different, and start comparing, or either being jealous or comparing and just saying, no, we can't make that happen.
but it was a choice.
Yeah.
Like you know how sometimes you can pay attention to that kind of stirring inside your heart, like, or you can completely dismiss it. It could have been, wow, I'd really like to get to know her a little bit more. But jealousy, lack of appreciation, comparing, those can all infiltrate.
Right.
Right. So it's a mindset, right? Like we have a mindset of choosing to stay curious. Tell me more. I want to learn more about you. But of course, we have a Clifton Strengths background. So it's an assessment, it's a performance evaluator that helps you understand how you get from A to B. And my curiosity was sparked when you would talk about your ideation and your strategic planning. And I don't have that. I'm a juggler, right? I can juggle many, many things. We talk about strengths being a vehicle, right? And I just soon get on a bullet train and figure it out when I get there. Yes. You would just soon be sick.
Sure. I mean, I need to plan a little bit more than that. I mean, I can plan some spontaneity when I need to, but reality.
That's great.
That's a thing. That is a real thing.
Okay.
But yeah,
Sure.
yes, that was definitely something that we uncovered later on how we do that. But our commonality really was Clifton Strengths too, that we both knew that language. So we spoke the same language.
We did.
Which we talk about. The ability with Clifton Strengths is that you know how to talk about who you are, and then you are able to talk about who someone else is and how they show up. And so it is a common language. It's like going to Italy and speaking Italian. So that we had that for sure. But that comparison you talked about is something that women, we do that pretty quickly, easily, and
often.
And it's awful, actually, right? I mean, it's not good for us where we, how do we go from comparison to celebrating, right? I'm different than you are. Isn't that great? You're different than I am. Isn't that great?
Right. That shift, right? It's stopping the comparison.
Yep.
And not comparison's usually seen in a negative light, right? But we are not the same people.
No.
We're just not. And seeing some things in you that I didn't possess was actually a relief for me. Right. I could lean into you on those things. We did a lot of conferences together and a lot of learning. We took a master class all summer.
We did.
Intense master class. So we could lean on each other in those situations. When we compare, we just stay in our little silo, right? And how good is that?
No, and you don't reach across that line. And I think that's kind of what we did was, hey, you're good at this. Tell me more. Oh, you have this, tell me more. And so I think when you ditch the comparison, you can kind of cross over and ask those questions and learn more and just kind of grow in an area that, maybe isn't your strength. And it doesn't have to be a strength, but sometimes you need information in that area or you need, it's getting in your way. So you need to do something. So I think, but yeah, I'm surprised at the amount of women that struggle with that. I'm not really surprised. I've seen it all my life. I mean, it's hard for us to accept, hey, we're this way and we love it. I mean, warts and all, as they say, right?
I love that. Thanks for listening to this episode. We would love to invite you to an experiential in-person event called our Women's Sabbatical Getaways. This year, we're going to Ludington, Michigan, Dallas, Texas, and Seattle, Washington. If you want more information, you can go to our website at hopeandhairspray.com, click on sabbaticals, and fill out the interest form. We would love to see you there. Let's jump back in. So when we talk about comparison, what it also does is put the focus on us.
True.
I'm not good in that. I need to be better in that. Well, guess what? I could work for a decade trying to be better at strategy, and I would probably grow by this much.
A little bit.
Or I can support you in your strategic talent, giving you the resources you need. Or in my case, I'm high execution. So you can rely on me. So I can support you and encourage you. You've got this. Love the material you're giving me. And then you pass it off. It's kind of like a relay race.
It is a bit. Yeah, I would say that's a good. And some of them we overlap, so we run together.
Yes.
Because we do have, that in common. But yeah, there are times where I'm like, that sounds awful. I could never do that. Why are you going to make me do that? I don't like that. And I'm pretty bad at it. And then you're like, oh, that's easy for me. And it's a relief. Like when you say something that I'm not fond of, that's easy for you, I'm like, whew, that feels good.
It's such a relief. And if you stay in that silo, you'll never feel that.
No.
Right? It is, and you're so different. People say apples to oranges, but this is not even fruit, right? Some of the strengths are so different from each other. And now, not only does my basket have my strengths in it, like now we have like a combo plate.
We do.
Right? Where we can offer all of that. So let's talk a little bit more about how we saw potential in that better together when things started coming together for different opportunities where we could come together. It was about 4 years ago that I needed some strategic planning done for a project. And I'm like, I know the perfect person for that. And you came in to our house. It was plastered in Post-it notes.
Man, if you're doing strategic planning and you can see the wall, I'm sorry, you're doing it wrong. You need flip chart paper, you need Post-it notes, you need color markers so you can see clearly. You have to have the prioritization dots and everything, highlighters. So yeah, if you can see your walls or windows, I think there's room for some more
ideas.
More ideas. Yeah, more ideas. But I think that's when you did. I mean, and that's how, I don't know if you've always been that way. My sense is, I think you have always appreciated people and what they do and what they bring. Just seeing you, I can't imagine that you weren't like that. And so you knew you didn't do that well. And I was just glad you thought of me, because I'm not sure we knew each other that well that you knew. I mean, you hadn't seen me do any strategic planning.
I saw gold in you that I know I needed. And yes, the strengths were a common language. So I knew you had that. And also that chemistry, we clicked well. Yeah. But I wasn't afraid. Right. I think a lot of women, and maybe some of our listeners, are fearful of connecting with somebody, right, because of that comparison angle, and they won't take that step.
Well, I'm thinking about someone, I don't know if you'll think about who it is, but at our last sabbatical, and what she said was when she looked at, because there's a whole profile on, right, who your strengths are, and there's 34 themes, and you look at usually your top 10, and then you have kind of a middle set that supports your 10, and then you have sort of the bottom set, which are sort of non-players, if you will. And she said, when I looked and I saw the bottom, I just took a breath of air and just said, wow, I don't have to do that. I don't have to care about that. And then what she said, what made me sad later, which she said, I've spent all this time trying to be better at stuff that's just not my natural talent. And what if I hadn't spent that time and I'd spent it on something I'm good at, how much would I just soar, right? And so to me, I think that, we just don't think that way. We're comparing on the top end, but when you come in on the bottom end, you're not good at it. Don't waste your time there. Do what you're great at, and that's what we're saying, better together. You don't have to have a business partner. I love having a business partner, changed my life for sure. But I'm thinking back in corporate, like when you have teams, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to know it all. You just need to know who to go to and have that relationship with them so that they will show up how you need them to show up. I think that's true in a corporate world. I think it's true in your relationships, whether you're a significant other or your family. And it's certainly true in the business world and with us. So.
Well, for sure. You think of a day where you have the opportunity to do what you do best during that day. Yeah. That's usually a really good day, right? But take that a step further and think about the people around you. Wouldn't you want to extend that same offer to them, right, where they have the same opportunity? And you can celebrate that they do things that you don't do well. Right. Because when you have to do things that you don't do well, it's draining.
It is.
But when you can let other people figure out what they're good at and appreciate it and let them do more of it. Because in a small business, usually it's a lot smaller teams, right? Maybe, I mean, I think departments could be replicated as far as small businesses go, but it's really appreciating and identifying and celebrating what the other person has. And then when it comes to projects, boy, you definitely want to know who has strengths that you don't have.
Absolutely. And I think also when you kind of put all that into context, it becomes, I think, the true definition of what we're talking about with diversity, and it's celebrating that. When you go from, oh, that's nice, to truly celebrating and be excited, I think we go then from differences to better together, right? Let's not look at the differences. Let's look at how together we are better. And I mean, we're human beings. We're social beings,
right.
And we are designed that way. And that's why we're here today, is because somebody got together back in the whatever days and said, hey, you can fix this. I can bake that, or, whatever. You can build this, or I'm not sure I would have made it. We're back in those days. But yeah, I mean, we're just social. And so I don't know why we fight it and we compare. I mean, I'm sure I have some ideas of why that happens, but it's be great for us I would love everyone to unlearn that. That's my wish, right? That everyone would unlearn that need to compare. Sometimes comparison can be helpful, trying to learn something. Oh, this looks good. This doesn't quite work. I get that. But we just take it, on a personal level.
And we take it to such an unhealthy level.
Yeah.
Right. There's comparison just on paper. These are the talents you have, and these are the talents I have. Then stop.
Right.
Right. When we start to go, oh, wow, she's really good at that. First of all, we usually don't have the whole picture, right? We usually don't get to see behind the veil, right? All the things. Unfortunately, social media is horrible. You're watching everybody's highlight reels.
Sure.
And how good you think they are at that. But when you can open up a layer of vulnerability, so there's honesty to self, right? I always tell people, if they're starting to chat about what I'm not good at, I'm like, here, I've got the list ready. I'll just let you look at it because I'm confident in the things that I don't do well. There's some self-awareness that has to happen through this process, right? But when you can be confident in who you are, I think that's one of the first steps. And then be confident in what you need to get a task done. And in our instance, it's the ripple effects, because we know together that we have a product, a sabbatical, a coaching circle that then helps so many more women because of your planning, my executing, but both of ours relationship building strengths. When we can put that all in the soup, can you imagine just having a soup that's just broth? Right.
Well, that does exist. It does exist, but it's not. It's not going to sustain you, right? It's fair. That's fair. Yeah. And I think we look at our strengths or our natural tendencies and we're like, that's a good one and that's not a good one. And that's not true. They're all good. You can underutilize them or you can overuse them, right? Just like a muscle. If you overuse that muscle, it's going to get weak and it's going to have pain and it's, so there's that balance of it. But yeah, it's, you do want that sort of blended piece. And so we're not able to do everything, and not everything is a good talent or a bad talent. What it is it comes naturally to me. So I might not appreciate that it doesn't come naturally to you. And so therefore I might discount. And I think in that discounting, then we can start comparing and feeling badly about ourselves and looking at something else and go, well, they can stand up in front of people and just talk, and they're not concerned. They're not, they're not scared. They're not, stumbling over the words, kind of like I am right now. But whatever. Maybe get paid to talk, whatever. But so you start comparing and looking at that, and you start to forget what you do naturally, right? They can, people that can do numbers in their heads. I've got some siblings that are pretty good at that, and I'm just like, wait, what's the number again? Wait, what's the first one? Is there a comma in that? Can I write that down? Yeah. So, it's okay. We don't have to be good at everything. And so it is a mindset from that perspective. You do have to make a decision to say, listen, I am who I am. I'm good at it. If I need to improve, great. work on that. Do those things. If something's getting in your way, work on it so it doesn't get in your way. But when it comes time for you to go long and far and fast, focus on what you're naturally talented at. Grow that, because you're going to grow so much further and so much faster, right?
So much so. So what it is, let's recap just a little bit. When you start with that, what is my mindset, right? Because you will find what you're looking for.
Right.
Every time you'll find it. So it's a choice to focus on the talents of others as a benefit to you. And then the second layer that we found is a benefit to others, right? When you put two people, a duet together, right? Think about the combinations that are out there in the world of two different things that have great qualities that complement each other, right? Peanut butter and jelly, or, right?
Now I'm hungry. Thanks.
Right.
Okay. Yep. That sounds good.
So just think about it.
Yeah.
If you just can position yourself in a mindset of appreciating the talents and gifts in other people. But unfortunately, first, you got to do that work in yourself. You've got to help understand, right, the self-awareness piece,
Right.
Self-awareness piece that you are good. You are good at things, right? That is really, when you think that's foundational, that they've got to do that first.
Yeah. And I think when you say mindset, I think another mindset piece is just stop the judgment, right? And that's that comparison. Okay. Maybe that's another word for comparison now that I'm thinking about it. But maybe that word resonates with someone a little bit stronger. Like, stop judging. It is what it is. And you are what you are, and they are what they are. And together you can make beautiful music together, right? I mean, there are moments when you are solo and that's going to work, and there's a reason
Sure.
for that. But when you are doing something that is not naturally talented, look for a partner, look for someone to come together with. But you do need to have that sense of self-acceptance, right? And realize that your talents are talents, and they are there are others in the world that wish they had them, if that helps.
Yes.
Right? There are others in the world that wish they could do what you do. So if you're really good at laying out project managers, right? Oh wow, what a job, right? That's a lot. So someone's going to need that and not know how to do that, and they're going to really appreciate that. And you might just be like, oh, that's just a Tuesday, well, that's easy. Okay, naturally and
Don't
experience.
discount that.
Don't discount it. Nope.
Pay attention to that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So pay attention to what you do well. And it's okay to say you do something well. That's okay. And then pay attention to what other people do well. In a small business, when we put together teams, it's very important that we lay the groundwork pretty quickly on what people do well and what they don't do well. But we don't need to focus on what they don't do well, right? That you, as a leader of an organization, you can choose that type of culture, right? I'm going to focus. We know that if we need a project needs to go out the door in 2 days, it's probably helpful to send somebody with a talent called achiever, right? They'll just work 24 hours a day and they'll get it out. So knowing what people bring to the table. And even in your own family, in your circles, to know what their strengths are, start small. Start with your inner circle, obviously yourself, and then others, figuring out what they bring to the table so you can flip the appreciation switch, right?
Yeah. And I do want to make sure that no one gets confused on the idea of, does that mean you're not going to learn something new? Right? When we talk about what your natural talents are, those are your natural tendencies, and you can apply them to different industries, different roles. There's not saying that if you have this, then you're a doctor. I mean, it's not one of those types of things. When we talk about, when Kelly and I talk about those natural talents, we are always saying what comes naturally, and you can apply it in certain situations, in all situations, and you can still get, you have two people that are looking to be a director of operations. One, let's say, is going to be really task focused, and they're going to be an achiever maybe, and they really make things happen. And the other one might do it through relationships and working with people and getting there. There's not a right and there's not a wrong. Now, is it going to look and feel different? Yes, but they'll get there and they'll be successful. And I think that's what to me is really exciting about the world. right? There's not one way to do it. There's multiple ways to do it. And so I do want to make sure people realize that you can still learn something new. You can still, play in an area, but even the way you learn might be different, right? I learn because I'm so people focused and so relationship. I learn through others. I'm going to ask them questions. My sister and I think make people crazy, the amount of questions that we ask. And I mean, someone will tell me new, and I've just decided my line is now, I have so many questions.
Just say it.
Yeah, I have so many questions. And I don't always ask them, but I need you to know I have so many more. I'm just giving you a few, but yeah.
But you hit on it, Rhodi. You noticed that you are inquisitive, right? And you own it.
Yeah, I
right?
do, absolutely.
Like I love to, I'm curious, and that is a great position to be for the appreciation level, right? You probably won't appreciate other people if you're not curious, right? If you don't seek to understand, help me understand, tell me more, right? If you're just ready to say the next words that come out of your mouth, that is a position, to be in that position of humility, right? I want to learn more from you, right? That's such a great place. And you can practice that, right? But what we have seen through this whole journey of discovering our mantra of better together is that we were able to come together and form a company around our qualities, our passion, our vision, even though you were the vacuum that pulls. She's such a great vacuum. She does such a great job pulling things out of my head and then putting it into a plan of action. And that's how Hope and Hairspray came to be.
Absolutely.
It was such a great, and it never would have happened if we didn't first know our talents, appreciate each other's gifts, and talents and strengths, and then realize that together, I mean, just water or just the Kool-Aid packet, not so good, right? But when we put them together, we have a whole new product that we can bring to the marketplace to help other people be better together.
Absolutely.
Right? So what's an action step, do you think? Because we all are about action steps here.
We are.
We always give you a little tool that you can learn to use throughout the week, a month, maybe a year. This is a big mindset shift, this one.
Yeah, this was a tough one because it is a mindset shift. And I think something that helps us accept what we're good at is actually paying attention to what people tell us. So maybe the action step is to ask those people on your teams, why do you, and you can say, what am I good at? Okay, maybe that feels weird. I usually ask, why do you come to me? When you need, you would say, I need a vacuum. And you do say that. I need to get some things out of my head.
Get your vacuum out.
Yeah. But why do you come to me? What do I bring to the team that maybe someone else doesn't bring? You can ask what I do well, or, perceptions and things like that, if you're comfortable with it. But I think it's asking others, especially if it's difficult for you, because sometimes it is difficult. So obviously taking a assessment with Clifton Strengths to really find out your natural talents, but as simple as asking those around you, your in family as well, but also those people wherever you work.
That is a great question. So just say it one more time.
The one about why you come to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
You're like, I said 3.
You know me, I had 18 questions in my head, but I usually ask, why do you come to me? What is it that you get from our relationship or from our partnership?
That's great. So today, try it today.
Yeah.
Right. Ask somebody in your circle, why do you come to me? Ask somebody at work, at home. You're going to get some great answers that we hope just build your confidence so that you can appreciate what you bring to the table. Then you can start appreciating what other people bring as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.